am Rabbi Shari, and as Passover approaches, I thought I'd share a wonderful Passover story. This one is special to me. It was written by my cousin, the author, Joan Rothenberg. Look, she even inscribed the inside cover to me. Matzah Ball Soup by Joan Rothenberg. Look at all the little matzah balls on the inside page. Come here, Rosie Posy. I need some pinches, said Grandma. Okay, Grandma, where do you want them? Rosie giggled. She began giving Grandma little pinches. Now, don't be silly, Grandma chuckled. I need 2 pinches of ginger and 3 pinches of paprika right here in this bowl. Rosie watched as Grandma added 5 handfuls of matzah meal. How do you know how much to put in? She asked. I know by how it feels, said Grandma. When it feels right, I've got enough. Grandma, this whole kitchen is filled with matzah balls. I bet we have enough for 100 Passover Seders. Oh no, Rosie Posy, there's not nearly enough, said Grandma. The entire family will be here for the Passover Seder and some friends and neighbors too. So many people, so many bowls of chicken soup. And you know, there must be 4 matzah balls in every bowl. Why? Asked Rosie. Because it's tradition, Grandma replied. What's tradition? Rosie asked. A tradition is something we do because we've done it for a long time, Grandma explained. Haven't I ever told you about my Tante T's first Passover in America? Nope, Grandma, said Rosie. When I was just about your age, my Tante T left her home in Hungary and came in America to live with us. We missed her brother and my Uncle Russell and her sisters and my mama and all the other aunts. That's Tanta, Gazella, and Gabby. Most of all, she came to America to be free. Was she a slave like we were in Egypt, asked Rosie. No, Rosie. Tante T wasn't a slave, said Grandma. But her home was not a safe place for Jews to live. So what does that have to do with 4 matzah balls in our soup? Asked Rosie. When it came time for Passover, Tante T decided that she should be the one to make the matzah balls for the chicken soup. I'm the oldest, she said, and I made the tastiest matzah balls in all of Budapest. They certainly are the spiciest, said Tante Gazella. But I think the best matzah ball is the one that complements the flavor of the soup. Mine are so delicate, you hardly even know they're there. I don't know why they're there. Why bother making them, asked Tante Gabby. Everyone knows is the best matzah ball. It's the one you can really sink your teeth into. Your matzah balls are real sinkers, that's for sure, declared my mama. Mine are so fluffy, you could eat a dozen and never feel full. Humph, scoffed Tante T. The audacity, snapped Tante Gazella. How rude, scolded Tante Gabby. Enough already, protested Uncle Russell. How can we celebrate Tante T's first Passover in America with all of this quarreling and kvetching? That means complaining. Let's settle this squabble fair and square. Each of you will make matzah balls and the whole family will decide which is the best. So the day before the Passover Seder, we began making matzah balls. All the aunts spent hours fussing over their special recipe. Tante Gabby kept tasting as she cooked to make sure she didn't make any mistakes. Tante Gazella ran out of matzah meal and had to make some more out of big pieces of matzah. Mama and Tante T had to share my mama's kitchen, so it took them twice as long to make their matzah balls. Mama was still making hers long after the rest of us had already gone to bed. By the time sundown came and the Seder celebration began, all of the sisters were very nervous and so tired they could hardly see straight. They hovered over the batches of matzah balls like mother hens. But before the soup could be served, we had to read from the Haggadah, That tells the story of Passover. We said the blessings and drank the wine and dipped the parsley into the salt water, just as we did every year. Then it came time for my little brother Sam to ask the 4 questions for the first time. I always liked the one about leaning on pillows at the dinner table. Tante Gabby couldn't sit still, so her pillow kept falling off her chair. When we sang about the 4 children, my cousin Sophie insisted upon being the wise child, and I got stuck being the wicked one. We heard about how we were freed from slavery in Egypt, and then we tasted the bitter herbs. The spicy horseradish burned Tante Gazella's tongue and tickled her nose. She sneezed and choked into tears poured down her cheeks. This horseradish is almost as spicy as T's matzo balls, she muttered under her breath. I heard that, snapped Tante T. Tante Gabby leaned over and retrieved her fallen pillow. Now, ladies, Uncle Russell said, we are looking forward to sampling those magnificent matzo balls. But if you don't calm down, we're going to be here at dinner until midnight. So we tasted the sweet charoset, and we made it into a sandwich with the bitter herbs and the matzah. The matzo balls are cooking too long, my mama cried. She jumped up and ran from the table. I give up, Uncle Russell threw up his hands. All right, Sonu, go already. Go get the soup. We waited anxiously as the soup was brought to the table. You could have heard a pin drop when Uncle Russell lifted his soup, tasted the first matzo ball. He motioned for all of us to do the same. Choosing the best matzo ball was not going to be easy. Uncle Nathan insisted that he couldn't make his choice until he'd eaten a whole dozen. Who won the contest? Asked Rosie. Oh, I bet it was your mama, wasn't it? We ate our soup without saying a word. There were sniffs, some slurps, and a few coughs. Cousin Edith took a big bite of one matzo ball. She turned red and drank a whole glass of water. Uncle Nathan just kept asking for more. But who won? Rosie demanded. While we did the tasting, the nervous sisters stood around the table, crossing their fingers and watching us eat, said Grandma. No one dared say anything. Uncle Russell looked at us, and we looked at each other. He wiped his mouth. He rose from his chair. There is absolutely no contest, he announced. The sisters held their breath. We couldn't possibly eat our chicken soup on Passover without each one of these remarkable matzo balls, he concluded. They all won, cheered Rosie. That's right, we have 4 matzo balls in our soup, right? That's right, answered Grandma. She wiped her hands on her apron. Let me see your hands, Rosie Posey, she said. Just right. Please put a handful of parsley and another of matzah meal into this bowl. Sure, said Rosie, but why did you have to see my hand first? This is Mama's recipe, said Grandma, and I was just your age when Mama let me put in the parsley and the last handful of matzah meal. Your handfuls are going to be just right. Grandma, your mama and the tantas weren't alive anymore, said Rosie. How come we still have to put the 4 matzo balls in the chicken soup? That's tradition, Rosie Posey. Everyone expects them to be there, Grandma answered. And for me, when I see the 4 matzo balls in my bowl, it feels as though my mama and the tantas are at the Seder with us. And now I'm making the matzo balls too, said Rosie. So when I eat my chicken soup, I can think about you. She gave Grandma a big hug and a whole lot of pinches, just for good measure. And that's the story of Matzah Ball Soup.